The views expressed in the following podcast belong only to those who express them and are based almost entirely on a lack of knowledge of the subject matter. They do not reflect the views of our spouses, employers, friends, parents, or any kid-friendly show hosts who did not respond to our request for sponsorship. Rest assured, we will be far less coherent when we are sober. Your mileage may vary. Welcome to Chew and Change. The people are real, the drinking is... Hey, Mike, what are you drinking?
This is a venti ice skinny coconut milk hazelnut macchiato sugar-free syrup extra shot light ice no whip.
Well, that's a departure from usual whiskey.
Yeah, I tried to stop by the LCBO on the way here, but it's a Starbucks now.
Really? Oh, that's weird. Okay, well, the drinking is real and... Josh, we're trying to do a show here, man. What?
Okay. Oh, sorry. My iced half-calf ristretto venti 4-pump sugar-free cinnamon dolce soy skinny latte came with extra foam. I need to get some of it off.
Huh? Did you catch a ride with Mike then?
No, this one's just next door.
What are you talking about?
Look out the window.
Hold on. Holy crap! They tore down my neighbor's house and put it in a Starbucks?
Yep, they're popping up all over the place now.
Man, that's weird. Might as well. What the? Who put a unicycle here?
Oh, that was me. There's a guy selling them in the shop next door.
I thought it was a Starbucks.
Hold on. Nope. It's a unicycle shop now.
That was fast. Must be all the new people moving here.
Well, I guess that's the way it is nowadays.
What happened to no phones?
Sorry, that was me. It's from my real estate agent. Sorry, guys, I'm gonna have to put this on speaker. The earpiece is busted.
I didn't know you guys were moving.
We're not. I haven't heard from this guy in years. Hello?
Hey, Tim. We finally got an offer on your house.
What? I'm not selling.
Look, we have a really motivated buyer here, all right? They want to do a total knockdown and rebuild. They're going to give you top dollar.
Well, I mean, I guess I can talk about it with my wife. Who's the buyer?
Starbucks.
But we just got... I mean...
So is that a no?
Yeah, that's a no. Biscotti?
Welcome to Unchange. This is Josh, and I am drinking a venti latte half decaf Frustrato with 4 pumps of some sort of cinnamon dolce crap, soy, extra foam. I don't know. The list goes on and on.
You're welcome, Josh.
It's basically caffeine, sugar, and I don't know.
Well, where's
Whatever.
it on the mediocre scale? That's my important...
I'm somewhere around a Rob Ford.
Oh.
So, dead.
You know what? Terrible, but kind of charming.
Oh.
In a very
In a very limited sort of way.
way. In a very there way.
Sure.
How can you be that fat and a crackhead?
I don't know. Yeah, and this is Mike. I have here my 15-year-old Glenmore. I'm actually polishing off the rest of Tim's supply of that stuff, but I actually also have the drink from the intro. It's a venti iced coconut milk hazelnut macchiato, and all the other things that were in there.
You're having some trouble there.
Yeah. Now, I was hoping that I would be able to say that this was like a complete abomination, and it's not. It's actually.
I was hoping to make more fun of all these fancy drinks, but I actually kind of like this.
Yeah,
so.
it's really not. And you know what? They were so good about it at the Starbucks because I walked in not having a clue what a macchiato was, and I still don't know what a macchiato is really. But like, I went up there, and this wonderful girl behind the counter, I read the name of the drinks right off of the script from the early part of the show, put my phone down, and said, "Do those words mean anything to you?" She already had it rung in. She was ready to go. It was great. So Sarah
Like
from
nothing ever
Starbucks,
happened.
amazing job. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Sarah from Starbucks. This is Tim. I didn't have any of that crap. In fact, I've got a mystery box or a mystery bag from the LCBO with 4 beers in it that says coffee lovers, and it cost me $13. So for our amusement, I'm going to open the mystery bag of beer.
Also, for amusement, I want you to tell me how many beers are in there because these 2 drinks from Starbucks cost $14.24.
Well, it's 4 beers.
4 beers.
So I'm
2
already...
Starbucks drinks.
Versus 4 craft beers.
Wow.
All right. So I figure
Or
I can
crafty
distribute.
beers.
Oh, hey, you're going to have a good time with this one.
What do we got?
For you, Josh, I've got a Muskoka Brewery.
Oh, nice.
Schnicked Stout.
I've had this one. I like this
I know.
one.
It's one of your favorites.
Yeah.
And I haven't had this before. This is a Bell City Black Coffee IPA. Okay, I guess.
You can
All
drink that one.
Yeah. Okay.
What are the other 2? I want to know.
That's for the second round.
No, I want to know now.
All right, fine. God. Were you like this at Christmas?
I know. I'm the person that's like, my wife is convincing me not to open the stuff at
This
Christmas
is
Eve.
Black Oak Brewing Company Nut Brown Ale. And we've got the Napanee Beer Company Blacklist Black German Lager. Oh, can I change mine?
For the second round.
For the second. Okay, fine.
You're the only one that's going to drink the IPA, though, so.
Okay.
He's not a beer guy, and I don't like IPAs for
There
the
you
most
go.
part, so.
Well, this has coffee in it or something. So,
something.
all right. Well, I guess I may as well pour myself a beer. Okay, guys.
All right, there you go.
So while I'm pouring myself a beer, let's talk about today's topic. Now, you might get the impression that the topic of the show today had something to do with Starbucks or coffee or something.
Or maybe mocking hipsters.
But you know what? If you listen carefully to the clues we laid out in the show,
Which obviously made no sense.
Yeah, exactly.
we're actually talking about gentrification. Now, I am all in favor of not necessarily valuing old stuff simply for the pure fact that it's old. I'm happy to start
Hold on. I imagine that half of our audience is as drunk as you are right now. So define the word gentrification for us.
Well, it's when you start pushing out the poor people and start building fancy shit.
I don't think that's actually fully what it means, but I kind of want to, I know we don't use Google in the show, but I kind of want to see what the actual definition of gentrification is.
Okay, so, well, you're the one who pitched the show, Josh. You tell us.
Yeah, okay. I'm the one that pitched the show. So essentially,
Oh my God, that's vile.
mine is good though. So I know I like mine.
It's called
did you
Brood
do?
Awakening.
I know. I poured my beer. It was already sort of shook up before when I opened it. It was kind of
Okay.
It was kind of fizzing. So
Yeah, you can't blame that.
and then
it was not shooken up, man.
and then I poured it, and then it's basically just
Holy fuck, what is this?
You've got like half your cup is full of foam right now.
Yeah, yep. That's pretty much it.
There you go.
Oh my God.
Tim's not enjoying his beer.
On the mediocre scale, it's broken.
There.
This gets like -1 star.
On a scale of mediocre, it's Ugandan gin.
Oh no. That's in a special category.
Exactly. That's like how we had to create a fourth world country category just so we could put Haiti and Bangladesh in it because they weren't good enough to
God.
be third world countries.
Okay, so I guess my definition of gentrification has more to do with, I think more urban renewal, but that also has negative impacts sometimes when it comes to housing, especially lower income people. That's what I think it is. Of course, I'm willing to accept I'm wrong. Josh.
Why be you when you can be new?
Yeah.
That's sort of gentrification.
Sure.
Well, that's the
Okay.
negative connotation of gentrification. I'm not 100% convinced. So generally on the left, we tend to
He
rile
speaks for the
against-
left.
Yeah, he
He's
speaks
all
for
of
the
the
left.
left.
All the left.
Yes.
Everything left of Reagan.
That's a very wide one.
I'm basically mankind at that point.
There's still that nice bubble between Reagan and George W. So
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
I guess that's where I am. Fuck.
That makes you the centrist, right?
What does
Oh
that
my-
make you?
That makes me.
Mission accomplished, Republicans.
Adam
Mission
Smith.
accomplished.
I have no idea what to call myself. I'm
It
the
makes
one
him
who-
fucking Mussolini.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. So, anyways, so generally on the left, quote unquote, it's seen as buying up housing complexes and stuff and putting up high rises, right? That's sort of the connotation that it has. But honestly, I was looking at some of the data because this is why I brought up the topic, and I've changed my views on that. I actually don't
Okay.
think that's the case.
So if I say, so you're coming from gentrification more as urban renewal, would that be reasonable?
And generally that's what happens. So
Okay.
it's always this like people get pushed out of their apartments or homeless get shuffled down the street, which by no
as they should.
by no
I have a modest proposal.
okay. Let me.
As interested
If you get that joke.
Yeah.
That's it. It's the shh.
Exactly.
Anyways, that does happen, but for the most part, a lot of the actual economists, so geographic economists that go in, or urban economists that go and look at the data, most of these people are not actually moved out. Those sort of things, they're one-off stories that tend to be sensationalized.
Yeah.
So often these neighborhoods improve overall, and even those at the lowest common denominator tend to improve. So people will move. Areas where people tend to move from are actually the extremely poor areas. So when they rise up, they tend to stay there. So the homeless people will still stay in there. They're just sitting outside of a Starbucks now instead of the Five and Diamond liquor store.
And now they're allowed to use the bathrooms.
Yeah, and
For example.
that's,
For example.
So I mean,
Progress, people, progress.
It's in the broader context of things, it's still a failure, but in the microcosm of it, it's not the problem. Gentrification, in my opinion, gentrification.
You know, I'm warming up to this beer, but it's still not very good.
Let's see if Josh can pour the rest of his without it turning into foam.
Yeah. Well, I guess my definition's not really far off because I always take gentrification. No, I haven't had enough beer to say that word yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always taken gentrification as the more negative connotation because you're right, Josh. It does tend to get sensationalized where you have these this poor lady's been in her house for 40 years, war widow on a pension, she only has one leg or something like that. You know, you always get these stories. But I mean, if the data is sort of panning out that it's almost like a rising tide lifts all boats, I mean, it's maybe not such a bad thing.
It isn't. Now, I mean, would we include other forms of, let's say, shuffling the homeless down the street a form of gentrification as well?
Yes.
So, for example, if we
okay.
talk about how there's some American cities that are installing concrete spikes in alleyways so that the homeless people can't sleep there, is that also gentrification?
Fucking up with the benches so they can't sleep on them, or
No, that's honestly, I feel
Being
that's
an asshole.
almost a second stage. So like you have the gentrification, and sometimes those stay in that sort of area. So you get the village sort of thing going on, right?
Yeah.
Like in New York City.
Okay.
So it sort of works, and it's this weird sort of class of cultures that sort of builds into its own microculture that's amazing and different and interesting, and everybody loves it, right? Or you have gentrification, which is the mid stage between that and then they replace the Starbucks with, I don't know, what's fancier than Starbucks?
Nothing's fancier than Starbucks.
Nothing's fancier than
I spent
Starbucks.
$7 per drink on these Starbucks drinks. Nothing's
I
fancier
bought
than
4 beers
Fine.
for less.
They replaced the Starbucks with like a Dolce & Gabbana or something, right?
Okay.
So
That also has coffee.
so they
Bling bling.
that also has like a barista or something.
And a DJ.
Yeah, and a DJ.
Needs a DJ. So I guess we're talking about the plus side of gentrification, where we have, urban renewal sometimes brings more income into what have been traditionally depressed areas of town. But then again, it's cyclical, isn't it? Because, I mean, downtown used to be the happening place. Then it was a poor place. Then all these people rushed in because it was cheap. And then all of a sudden more money starts coming in. And then they're out. And like London, Ontario, for example, we're sort of in a downtown renewal sort of phase where it was depressed for quite a while. They knocked down a bunch of shit in the 60s and 70s. They built up some pretty good stuff. It lasted for maybe 10 years to the 80s and 90s, then just started tanking. And now you have a bunch of students, young money, et cetera, coming into the area because now it's the hip place to be, kind of, sort of. And again, it's sort of just this cycle that keeps going.
Well, and like for London, for instance, we have a lot of these what they call brownfield buildings, which are buildings that have basically what we call vacant buildings.
Brown-filled?
Brownfield.
I was going to say.
Yeah, I was going to say brown filled. So
Sorry.
these buildings
Is that where
basically
Trump's keeping the children?
Yeah.
Oh, too soon. Anyway.
Oh man, damn it, Tim.
Oh, too soon.
No,
Too soon.
it's dark humor. It's still funny.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Well, good night, folks.
That'll be the
Thanks
end
for
of
listening.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, we're horrible people.
Yeah. No. Anyways. So you have these brownfield buildings, such as in this case for the people around London, it's the old McCormick cooking plant that's been vacant and stuff for like 20 years. It's a big, giant, awesome, cool looking factory on Dundas Street.
But it almost sounds like one of those things like from a movie. Oh, you don't go to the old McCormick plant. That's where all the teenagers got killed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that's where you want. Those are the places that you. So now money is going into those places.
Wait,
where
someone
they
bought
was-
that factory?
Yeah.
Really? What are they doing?
It's mixed residential, so commercial, and a couple other things.
It's like the old Kellogg's factory.
Yeah, the Kellogg's
Oh, you
factory.
don't go to the old Kellogg's factory. Not on a night like this.
See, that one was only closed for like 2 years, so that was a nice turnaround. But
Yeah.
the McCormick factory's been closed for a long time.
Yeah.
So, but that being said, there is a line to that. I think just because something's old doesn't mean it's actually important.
Agreed.
Like,
Well, yeah, I
sometimes
think-
it's just old.
I think the problem is that there's way too much progress that doesn't happen, especially in this city, because we have this sense of nostalgia for things like all that shit on Warncliffe. So this area of town for our listeners outside of London, which is like almost all of you.
Yeah.
Thanks, by the way. So there's this area of town, and every city's got one. Every city's got an area like this. There's an area of town where it's where the street goes to like 2 lanes instead of 4, even though it's like one of the busiest places.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of old, shitty, derelict houses and commercial, just like crappy strip malls all built in the 60s and everything. Every time you propose, okay, let's start knocking some of this down and let's put a 4 lane. Well, they might be heritage buildings. Heritage of what? Heritage of shit?
Exactly.
So here's the problem where I get my hackles up is the whole living in the PJs projects. Okay, who knows that song?
You realize a Canadian project is like a bungalow.
Yeah, fair enough. But in the States they have projects. The projects, those are the areas that tend to get freeways through them. Actually, those are the areas that tend to get not freeways; they tend to get off ramps.
Huh.
Because off ramps take up more, so they take up the off ramps right into those areas.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Really?
Because all the traffic congestion goes through the neighborhoods versus all the fancy nice neighborhoods.
Fair enough.
Huh, interesting.
So those areas, projects, and those people tend to get forced out, and they've got nowhere to go. Right? Where are they going to go get rent geared to income housing, even if it's got cockroaches as their 7,000th neighbor?
I'm gonna try to find the article, because I've actually been doing okay posting things we mentioned on here.
Yeah.
I did read an article about an entire town that's going away because basically whoever owned the property, so this was, I guess the term Section 8 or projects or whatever it is, their housing apparently was in such disrepair that they lost their certification to be housing. So what's happening is that this project had like tens of thousands of people, basically formed an entire city and community. They're not rebuilding, they're not repairing, they're just relocating everybody. But the problem is they're not really giving people money to relocate. They're just condemning it, shutting it down, and saying, best of luck, folks. No, they move somewhere else.
Where is this happening?
It's in the U.S. It's not in Canada, but it's like, I want to say Michigan or something. I'll look up the article.
Sure.
But like, apparently this is perfectly fine and legal. But then again, I mean, who's really going to fight it in this political environment, you know? But I can see where this would be a problem.
So we do shut down towns in Canada as well. So they're dealing with this problem out in Newfoundland, I believe, or New Brunswick as well, where they're declining populations. Their main source of income has gone down. They're like 300 people. It's too cost inefficient to continue to maintain them in town.
And speaking of being too cost inefficient to keep maintaining this thing, we need to take a quick break. I'm going to try and down whatever the fuck I'm drinking.
Yeah.
And we'll be back in a bit. See ya. In a monotone voice, thank you for listening. I hope you're enjoying the show.
In agreement, that sounds scripted. Mike, did you script this gesture to make?
You guys aren't supposed to read the stage directions?
With a concerned tone, I don't understand.
Check out tionchange.ca so you can read the blog and see what I have to put up with. Guys?
Oh, I lost my place in the script.
We're recording.
I would like to take this moment to recognize that Tim did dump a beer.
He actually dumped
I
it.
didn't. Okay, in my defense,
Nope. It's a first.
I drank 2/3 of it and just couldn't do any more.
2/3, 1/3, about half.
Well,
maybe
I
a
just
quarter.
find like
Fractions were never his strong
No, they
point.
weren't.
I can do an IPA. Okay, here's the thing with IPAs. I can do IPAs. All right, but the thing with IPAs is that I don't like the IPAs where there's bitter for bitter's sake. If you get a decent citrus tones or certain notes behind them, they're actually quite nice sometimes.
Okay.
But the problem is adding coffee to an IPA,
Which is already bitter.
You're completely masking any of the whole point behind an IPA. And you're completely masking any citrus notes. You're completely masking all like the full everything that's sort of supposed to come in the back end of an
Sounds like
IPA.
a perfect hipster beer in a gentrified neighborhood.
That sounds about right.
I swear to God, people just drink beer for the sake of drinking beer without even thought. Speaking of which, I'm now drinking a Blacklist Black German Lager, which is a legit style of beer.
It's when the beer becomes a status symbol. It's about like I'm drinking this hopsy IPA craft beer.
Like shark fin soup, right? When shark fin soup was a
No,
thing?
that's just lucky.
What? No, people were eating shark fin soup, and Gordon Ramsay went on a crusade against it because it was like $300 a bowl, and it was flavorless. And Gordon Ramsay didn't like it because in order to harvest these fins, people were like cutting them off sharks and then leaving the rest of the shark in the ocean.
Okay, Nappany, let's see how you do with your black German lager. Now,
All right.
lagers are my jam.
Yeah.
I especially love dark lagers and dark pilsners, these sort of...
And that stuff looks
dramatic.
almost black.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
So
so
here
dark
we go.
lager indeed, yeah.
All right. Smells good. Has a slight straw earthy smell. Okay. I know it's not a review, but
It is now.
it's not bad. It's got a little bit of a slight thickness on the texture, but I mean it's good. It's good. I'll give this 4 out of 4.9 repeating mediocres.
There. Okay.
I'm just trying not to make a thickness on the texture joke.
Yeah. He did leave it hanging right there.
just right. I just left it hanging right in front of your face.
Right in front of his face. Yeah, it was amazing.
It was for him to reach out and grab it.
Yeah. So gentrification.
I'm surprised you didn't pick up on the modest proposal joke.
No.
This thing, you eat the poor. That was the.
He didn't read a lot of Dixon's. That's why he's an
Okay.
ardent capitalist.
I'm an ardent capitalist because I didn't read a lot.
I haven't drank it. Fuck.
Hey, what?
Are you okay, Josh? Holy smokes.
Why are you
Words?
not using the coaster?
I don't know. I'm tore up from the floor up. It's just bad today.
Toe up from the flow up.
It's been a day.
Yes, it has.
boy.
Wow.
All day it was a day.
Yeah, all day. All day.
right.
Today was a Friday the 13th.
All right, guys. So I'm just.
Awesome.
that makes sense. I'm gonna move my beer away from the board
There.
and away from. Oh shit! I can't.
And away from the laptop.
I'm screwed. Okay. So
Just chug it.
gentrification.
Chug.
Hell no. What am I? Some sort of frat boy? No.
Exactly.
I tried the last one just to get through. I was like, fuck, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
So gentrification. Here's a question.
Yeah.
Now, it's hard to put a quality saying, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? I know I'm famous for it on the show. Is it good? Is it bad? I don't think we can necessarily say that.
No.
So I would say on balance. Let's say on balance with the social problems it brings. Either way, is it good that we do these things, or is there maybe another way of doing this that we are not exploring?
Josh, you hit on something that's going to make that question a more interesting one because you mentioned that there's things that happen after gentrification occur. So to me, the stuff that comes after gentrification occurs, if it occurs in enough cases, it is part of the process. So if gentrification happens and as a result, every time or most of the time, these negative things also happen on the side, we have to find some way to account for them.
But is it a natural outcome of gentrification, or is this something that we really should, or can we take the good parts of gentrification and say, you know what, let's not be assholes to the poor?
Well, the problem is, though, that broken glass theory is this idea where you can clean up a neighborhood, fix the broken glass, play classical music over PA speakers, and then the gangs will go away.
As somebody who has a master's degree in music, first of all, I love it when they're blasting classical music, so I'm just standing there going, oh, yeah, this is from Madame Butterfly.
Yeah.
Like, I remember saying from the building, and then it dawned on me. I spent 7 years of my life getting an undergrad and a master's degree and did lots of auditions for stuff. For an art form that's mainly used to scare away the homeless.
Yeah. And I don't think
I love sending that student loan check every month.
relocating homeless people is not fixing homelessness. It's not fixing poverty. Now, the problem is, though, that I don't think there is a fix for homelessness and poverty universally. There just isn't.
I actually do.
Well, okay.
For the most part, you can you eradicate it completely? Yeah, there's going to be the outliers where there's going to be just a couple, but it'll be a couple. It won't be hundreds. Yeah.
Well,
housing
is it getting better or is it getting worse?
Depends on where. In some places, yeah, it's definitely getting better. On a large scale, on a global scale, it's getting phenomenally better year over year.
Really is.
And sadly, we can thank your friend capitalism for that.
Why is that sad? I mean, it's use whatever methods you have available as long as
the problem is capitalism now is perpetuating that cycle, right? Like it's reached sort of a zenith and on its ability.
You're a
to
late
solve the
stage
problem.
capitalist.
Oh, he was also a late stage bloomer too.
Yeah.
A little something.
It's why his voice gets high sometimes. I'm sorry. Welcome to Two and Change. My name is Josh.
Yeah.
I like beer when my dad buys it.
Anyways,
I do that too well.
you do. Yeah, you do that too well. Yeah.
Oh, Mr. Jenkins, I dropped the thing in the fryer again.
Why do you suddenly sound like Morty?
Oh,
That's what I'm
geez.
getting. I'm getting Morty.
I usually go for the kid from The Simpsons.
Oh,
but
okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
I don't know what I was saying.
Oh, we were talking about late stage capitalism, and we were having a very intellectual discussion. Then I started doing this, Josh.
That's what
So
happens.
basically,
with
the idea here is that your view, if I'm understanding you correctly, you feel that capitalism can raise a nation out of third world status through second world status, maybe into first world status, but after that, it's run its course. And
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
And
I don't
I
think
wouldn't say
he's-
that's late stage capitalism. I think it's just, it's more of a capitalism needs a new version, right? It needs to be rewritten because it's reached its peak of what it can do. It's not like it's the bad boogeyman in the corner. That's not the problem. The problem is that it is. It doesn't have the controls. It doesn't have the forethought. It's an economic principle. It's not an ideological thought, right?
And that's it depends on who you talk to, though.
yeah,
Fair
capitalism is very much an ideological thought for me.
Okay, well, I don't disagree with this because I remember listening to an episode of The Invisible Hand, which is a great short-run CBC radio series. You can still get it. Okay, well, basically, and this is the thing. This guy's
My
not
invisible hand is
necessarily.
slapping you right now, George.
He's you called him Jordan.
I called him George. I don't even know
George?
what
My communist fedora is slapping you.
By the way, did you see in our last post for the?
Yes,
did you
I saw that.
Did you see the propaganda slogans I put in Russian?
I translated for you in the comments. Really? Yeah. All for the front. Really, Tim? Really?
Bread, work, and peace.
Yeah. Bread, work, and peace. Unbelievable. Yeah. Unbelievable.
I was going to put some music from the Red Army too, but we already have our own. But anyway, so talking about the Invisible Hand, so they're talking about in ways it's almost like an evolutionary stage of a country going through like the unfettered capitalist stage. It's almost like so take South Korea, for example, okay?
Yeah.
Or you can take the United States as an example, or Canada. So basically it starts with basically feudalism, goes into basically you industrialize, and then eventually inevitable outcome is the whole sweatshop mentality, especially in modern times where you have the first world dumping all your cheap crap onto the third world. And then from there, as more capital from other places flow into these places, then eventually what happens is that when you get out of this cycle, what happens is then you start developing your own industry, your homegrown capabilities. And you look at somewhere like South Korea today, which is a very sophisticated, wealthy country. China is kind of making their road this way compared to where they were even 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah, they're changing rapidly.
And, the United States went through this phase. All these countries go through this phase at various times. Like the UK and Europe went through this phase in the 1700s, so they started a lot earlier. Canada was, of course, not immune to these sort of phases as well. We sort of just Me Too from Europe,
Sure,
and the United States at the same time. So So the theory is that this is sort of a natural evolution of a nation, that you go through these sort of phases. And I think where Josh is coming in saying, okay, we've evolved. Now it's time to get sort of the next stage of evolution, which I think is more of a socialistic market.
except
more like
that
a triple
we've
bottom
never
line.
gotten there yet. So but I'm saying that.
Are you accepting the
to
inevitability
say-
of socialism?
No, what I am saying is that for us
think he
to
is.
look at the next
That's
stage
why I
of
like
our
Star Trek so
evolution,
much.
I did love Star Trek as a kid growing up. It
They don't
was
eat money.
unrealistic though. What I loved about the idea of
Well, they lived with aliens in space. Let's start there.
sure, yeah.
How many alien STDs did Kirk? Okay, who got the most alien STDs, Kirk or Riker?
Did you know that Picard kissed more women than Riker did? In the show?
Really?
Yep.
The
First-
doctor
The Doctor.
forgot to wear gloves.
Oh, yeah. There it is.
Sat on the wrong toilet seat in the hospital.
Amazing.
That's a myth. Well, alien STDs, I don't know.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Anyway.
I agree that a nation will go through stages of evolution. However, if we look at where we are right now and this idea of, in your view, capitalism coming to the end of its usefulness, the problem is that if we are about to enter our next stage of evolution, that has never happened before. So for us to say this, therefore, is the correct direction to go,
what do you mean it hasn't
I don't
happened
know that.
Absolutely, it's happened before. So we had the early stages of consumerism, which in the 16th century.
Whoa,
And then-
I'm talking.
He's talking about 21st
which
century.
then developed into which came from the guilds, which reinvented, and then the reinvented a wheel. We didn't know what was coming next. Then came the industrial revolution.
Yeah.
Then came early stage capitalism. Came mid stage capitalism. Then came post industrialism, and then came this. We didn't know what the next stage was.
Right.
What I'm saying is this: we are at the end of a stage now. We need to go into the next stage. What that stage is,
So, do we force this evolution, or is it more of a case of this is natural? Like, do we not bother? Like I'm not saying not bother, but I feel that it's inevitable, because here's the thing: technology. I think what it comes down to is technology and knowledge, because technology eventually displaces people and workers. And we're coming to a point relatively quick that most jobs, lower paying jobs, are going to be automated. Truck drivers can be out of work. Now, historically, when this has happened, we've found other jobs.
Yeah.
But we've never had technology that can invent other technology to do it better. That is slightly different. It might be a different tangent, but at the same time, I think the next evolution is going to hit us very fucking hard if we don't get on the program.
Very likely. I mean, assuming we don't all die from like, the Earth blowing up or something.
So Donald Trump.
Yeah. But let's say
I was waiting for that
Let's
joke.
say we solve Donald Trump, we don't all die. We say, we stop melting of the ice caps, we don't all die. Like say we solve those problems, right? And we are in an AI culture where they can create other AI, they can create new thought, right?
And man created AI
But
in his
I
image,
still
in his
don't-
likeness.
I still don't think that is, and I still think we never know what's coming down the pipeline, and I still think we're going to create our own economies based on something else. We're going to base it on betting on ideas or something stupid like that. Like we're always going to have an economy, right? We're always going to have and have nots to some extent. I mean, it's never going to be perfect. To err as human, and that will continue on, right? So, but to answer your original question is, do we force this sort of next stage of capitalism, whatever you want to call it, or does it occur on its own? I think it's a little column A, little column B. If we look at historical trends, it's always been a little column A, little column B, right? Things have progressed on their own from people pushing forward and pushing these ideas that they have in a context where into a larger context where other people were having these ideas or other things were happening to roll these along. And I think that's sort of what's going to happen here, right? Is we're going to have people that are having these ideas that are pushing. Other people are going to have these ideas. But there's also things going on in the background. There's AI coming along. There's digital economies that didn't exist before. There's integrations, global networks, all these sort of things, right?
I guess my question is, though, is it more of the same, or is there something new happening? And that's where I think is. Here's the thing. I think where we need to go the Nordic model. Now, it might be propped up by a single commodity, which is quite important, but as much as people say if it wasn't for oil, Norway, Sweden, et cetera, wouldn't be doing as well.
Nor would the States.
Which is part. The United States has become one of the biggest oil producing nation in the world. Granted, the way they do it is a little bit more destructive even than we do it, and we do some pretty horrific shit to the environment in order to get our oil.
So in the original days of oil, before it was even Standard Oil, before that stuff was all set up and before all the trust busting and whatnot.
So you're talking about the 1910s and 20s in the US.
No, before that. I'm talking about like the 1850s stuff.
1852, yes.
When Drake found it in Pennsylvania.
When Drake.
Sure. Yeah.
Drake is a treasure.
Drake,
That Drake can do anything.
Oh, yeah. He can discover oil in 1852.
They used to call a cell phone, and he'd be like, there's oil there.
Yeah.
It's like a Divining Rod, except he has an app.
Exactly.
And then he would bring out the bling, and, that's
there it
that's
is.
the way
And a
it
music
was.
video happens.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever listened to a Drake song. I couldn't pick one of his songs out of
They
the
all sound
lineup.
like this. It's gonna send.
Hey, you know what? We're gonna get sued.
That's Cardi B. That's Drake. That's I don't know who the other.
That's pick your pop.
That's
artist.
pick up. Yeah, that's your pick your pop artist.
All right.
They all sound the same.
Well, speak of picking your whatever. I mean, we are kind of out of time here.
We are.
You know what? This is one of those conversations that go on quite a long time. I mean, we started gentrification, went into economics, and I think you
And
cannot
now we're
talk.
into civilizational progress.
Well, I mean, you can't talk about one without the other, and I think regardless of how you think about it, dear listener, I'm glad you're with us, and I think you should check out our blog at 2 and Change, which I'm sure one of us at least. I vote Josh this time, even though his last blog post was quite nice.
He's talking about dear listener. Now he's giving me commands like
Yes,
dear
he is.
leader.
Yes.
Like
Yeah, well,
I am wearing an all gray suit and standing on a platform, so
that is kind of weird. Yeah.
a little bit, yeah. What are you doing with your arm, Tim?
Why is the room color coded? Exactly. Color.
well, I want white over there, and this can get really bad. Okay. So anyway, check out our show at iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, wherever you get our show. Make sure you also check out our blog at twoandchange.ca. We're even on YouTube, which Josh, you're gonna have to figure that shit out, because I mean, we're on YouTube.
Yeah,
We're on YouTube. Apparently, all our episodes are on YouTube.
There you
I had
go.
no fucking idea. Anyway, for 2 and Change, I'm Tim.
I'm Mike.
I'm the guy who puts shit on YouTube. I'm
Hey.
Josh.
We'll see you next time. Okay, so I know originally we said we're gonna be. Has this been happening the whole time, or is this something new?
Last probably 20 episodes.
Last 20 episodes. So, and what are
Like,
they
whoa,
on
whoa,
YouTube?
whoa, this has been happening all this time. We've been on YouTube this whole time.
And what's on it? Like, if I bring up one of our
Do we
shows-
have any? Do we have like any people listening on YouTube?
No.
No, okay.
That's why I want the people to
Jesus
YouTube.
Christ.
It's a really good signal.
No, we
You
can't.
play
We
from
can't.
anything.
Well, we can't count the hit on. We can count the. We can't count. Well, we need. Well, we need media. So I just like the idea we have. I think we have like 20 fucking episodes on YouTube.
Oh, sorry. My iced half-calf ristretto venti 4-pump sugar-free cinnamon dolce soy skinny latte came with extra foam. I need to get some of it off.
Yeah, you need to get it off. Okay.
I almost nailed that though.
Do you want to try that again?
No. We'll just do a read-through. Okay.
Josh?
Oh, yeah, sorry. My iced half-calf ristretto venti 4-pump sugar-free cinnamon dolce soy skinny latte came off with a little bit extra foam, so I need to go ahead and get that off there.
Huh.